Alright guys, today we'll be working on the rear drums to this F250. It's an 88 3/4 ton, and it's got the 3-inch rear shoes. The e-brake was seized up, and I actually had to clip the e-brake line in order to get the brakes to release on this rear drum on the driver's side. So once I opened up the rear drum, I've already had the tire off just to see how bad it was. And it's not terrible in there. The shoes must have been dragging for a long time, and they actually overheated and cracked and had material fall off. I found bits of the shoe down in the bottom of the drum. And so we're just gonna take a look at these, replace what needs to be replaced, clean the interior area of the drum, and we'll do both sides. And that's pretty much it for this video. So we'll get started. Alright guys, get your favorite 1 1/16 socket. And remove your lug nuts. Not sure why those were so hard to get off. Obviously they need anti-seize on them. Anyways, I'm gonna get this off and get some blocks of wood under here. Get over there. Again, any block of wood will do. Gonna need a couple of them here. That's just in case the jack fails. Alright guys, I think I said this earlier that these drums were stuck because the e-brake line was froze up. So I got them off. If your drums are stuck, you could try backing them off with the adjuster. If you can also hit this with a hammer, not too hard because you wouldn't want to break your drum somehow, but they can have a lip on the drum. Mine don't, so my drum comes right off. And my drum has no lip. They're in pretty good shape other than being rusty. And then we'll go ahead and start taking these shoes off. Alright guys, I planned on doing a full service on these brakes, but as you can see, all the springs have still got color in them. There's almost no brake dust whatsoever. There's the end is cracked off down here, if you can see that. And then on this side, the end actually broke. And then there's big cracks. Now I don't know if these were dragging and that's what caused the pads to overheat, or if cracking is normal. But all I'm gonna do is replace the shoes, because everything else is in fantastic shape. There's almost no dust on this side. I got a little scrubbing and cleaning to do, and that's about it. So we'll go through what we can here. I'm sorry it's not a full service, but unlike a lot of other videos on YouTube, the inside of this thing's in great shape. Alrighty. Alright, you're going to need a flat head to get this spring out right here. You just get room for your spring pliers. If you don't have spring pliers, get yourself a set. Just use the flat head and turn the head of the spring, and then obviously you can manipulate the spring from there. Sorry. Boy, this is a strong spring. There we go. Okay, on these springs here, I'm going to try to show you without getting the camera too much in the road here. You just take a little flathead screwdriver and put it in between the springs and turn, and they'll just pop right out. That's after you've got the top and bottom spring off with your spring pliers. Make sure on this rear shoe to get this red spring out of here, your top spring. And then when you undo the this clip from around that part right there, the shoe will just slip out. And it looks like you got to swing this up to get your spring out. Is that right? Yeah, it won't snake through there without it. Oh, I suppose you can get it out this way. I'm going to leave mine in. There's no reason to take it out. It's a good spring. I do have to get my e-brake undone, however, though. Come on. Come on out of there. I'm trying to do it one-handed. Make sure the tension's out of your e-brake line. That should slip right out of there. There we go. Yeah, make sure your e-brake lines are completely detensioned, and you should be able to slide it around and pull it out. Got to get this e-brake line pulled out through this little guide. Your truck may not have that little guide right there. So anyways, my e-brake's cut off right there, and so all this stuff's got to come out. But alrighty, getting this e-brake out, you really got to squeeze the very front edge of these keepers, and I'm going to be in your guys' road, but you got to get your pliers right on the front edge to get them out the hole there, and then this whole thing comes out. And these keepers here, you got to get right on the very front edge of those. I should have done this before I got going. We'll do it now. So most of these parts came from Rock Auto. Obviously you can get them wherever you prefer, but these are AC Delco wheel cylinders. There's a right and a left. I can give you the AC Delco number is 18E960 and 18E969. GM part number is 19175489 and 19175498. So those are wheel cylinders. And then I've got, what are these? The e-brake kit. What is this? This is the adjuster kit, and there's a left and a right on that also. These happen to be Ford Motorcraft part number BRAK-2598 and BRAK-2599, and they're adjuster kits, Motorcraft. I have a spring kit made in Chinois by F250, and the part number on this is FHH7181, and that's my brake hardware kit. I happen to need, I already did the passenger side, so I'm not going to have a part number for that. Driver's side e-brake cable is a Wagner part number, I saw it somewhere, there we go. Wagner part number BC120907, and that's the driver's side e-brake cable. And then last but not least, the brake shoes are a Centric brand heavy duty brake shoe, part number 112.03580, and these are, I think, a semi-metallic. And if you don't have a pair of spring pliers, my pops happen to have a really old set of Proto 217s. So you can get Proto or Snap-on eBay for real cheap now because nobody does drums. Or you can go get, if you don't want to wait, you can just go to Harbor Freight has them. The Snap-on ones looked really nice. Mac has a pair as well. These old Protos are cheap on eBay though. So, and then I used a small screwdriver to lift one of the springs, and you can also slip it in between. You'll see in the video 2 other springs to pop them loose to get your shoes off. Pair of pliers to, if you got to get your e-brake lines off. This may not be part of what you're doing, but pliers to squeeze the clip out. And then 1 1/16" socket for the lug nuts. Alrighty, gonna get the e-brake on first. I'll have to deal with that later. And washer's gonna stay on the spring side, obviously. And you need to get enough slack to get your e-brake line in. Get in there. Alrighty, that's all taken care of, and then gonna place the clip in. Alright, and just got to get the clip in and get it to actually snap in, which that's no problem. It's in. Routing's good. Alright guys, pliers, needle nose pliers for this portion. And I know they make a special tool for this, but it's not that difficult. Alright, let's try this again. There we go. I think they make a special set of a special flathead for that, but yeah, so you're just trying to sneak this red spring around the end of this little keeper, and then I just reach behind here and direct the keeper with my fingers. Alright guys, moving on to the other side. We're gonna go ahead and get this in here. Make sure these pins line up. And we are gonna get the spring in here. Might help if I actually close the needle nose pliers. Not super fun to get on, but not the worst thing in the world. So just making sure that the pads are where they need to be on this. They need to be up on this shaft up here on top. And I greased the shaft where these rotate. So we got that clip on there, and then we'll work on these. We'll work on this red one up here and the purple one down here. We'll use our spring tool for that, our spring pliers. All right, adjuster goes on next, and mine was pointing forward when this all was put together. So it looks like that lower spring needs to go on. Why is this being held off here? Okay, there we go. Just wanted to make sure that was in right. This spring is a pain in the butt because it goes behind the adjuster. There's no way to get it on from this direction. Okay. Guess we're putting the purple spring on first. Okay, then we'll put the adjuster on. Yeah, that's not too bad. All right, put your adjuster in afterwards. All right, we're gonna be putting this spring on. And can I get you guys somewhere where you can see what I'm doing? Nope. Okay, there we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. I'm gonna check the position and make sure it doesn't go in this lower hole. That looks right, but I'm gonna check to make sure. All right, guys, so we're gonna look this over real quick. You're gonna see how everything's positioned. And we're gonna come down here, over there. Now, I haven't adjusted the e-brake yet, so it's touching right in here. I'll know if the shoes are too big or too unadjusted if the drum doesn't go over them. So there's all your components. This spring down here is kind of hard to hook up. I grabbed it and pulled it, and then I used my finger to push the spring in while I was letting go of it with those pliers, spring pliers. So got that all greased up, and hopefully that's informative for you guys. We'll move over to the other side. Okay, hopefully you guys can see. The seal right here has come out for some reason and is leaked into the drum over here. Drum's got oil in it. So we are going to need to replace that. And then for some reason that keeper was off and there's a bunch of grease down in here. So on the passenger side, we've got some work to do in here. Alright guys, this side is pretty much the same, real good condition. Like I said, that axle seal leaked, and so I gotta get a new, I have actually axle seals coming, and this surface is good. It's got a little rust back here, but not where the seal goes. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together. Is that a nick? Huh. Might have to touch that up. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this back together. I'm gonna put grease on all these points where the pad touches, put a little grease up here on the pivot, make sure there's some grease on these wheel cylinder studs, and get this thing back together. Alright guys, this went on the way you'd expect it to. What I've been doing is I've been putting these springs on first, and then I do the red one here, and I hook it on this side underneath the arm over here, and then I actually hook using the pliers over on this side. So I hook this side with the pliers. You got to grab in here. And then on this one down here, you actually hook it on this side and then attach it over here. What I do is I get this lever up like this, pull the lever up, get your clip out of the road so you can get your spring pliers in here. And then afterwards you can lift this up, get your hook hooked back up, get it under the adjuster, and you're good to go. So I'm at a stopping point until I get these seals in. Pretty much done with the brakes. Obviously I'll need to adjust the e-brake. Alright guys, the drum brake job went as expected. It's 90 something degrees out here. I'm hot and sweaty. There's a ton of videos online about changing the rear drums for an OBS F250. I'm sure there's some more comprehensive ones than mine because I didn't have to replace everything. You still have to take all the springs off though, so it's not like throwing a spring kit on is overtly dramatic. Anyways, I will cover the install of the seal and getting the rear axle back in, and then there will probably be a follow-up video changing out the rear end fluid. I realized I thought I had done it on this 88, but in fact I actually did a video on my F350, my 06. So I'll be doing a video on this one, changing out the fluid here soon. Alright guys, I got these Timken hub seals in, and they're for the inside bearing. And I didn't know it, but I would recommend these Timken seals. I got them off of Rock Auto. Part number is 11S34370T. They have handwritten on 370047A or 97A. I don't know if that's right. But the first number I read off, I believe, was what was on my parts list or my Rock Auto order. They seem to be a real robust seal. The other thing I like about them is that they come with a driver, which I can't hardly believe that they actually come with a metal driver that fits over the gasket, so you can hit them in without damaging, you know, the gasket, and also having to use like a piece of wood or something. They seem like a hell of a gasket. They seem better than what was on there, which I'm assuming that's the original stock one. So my particular hub has, for whatever reason, this section is short on one of my hubs, and then one section covers the whole gasket. So this instruction set's going to be for this exposed seal. I don't know what you do with the other ones. I had this and this and this, and wasn't able to get it off. I know you could use a seal puller. But it seems like every video I've watched, they just have to mangle them to get them out. So I don't have a good suggestion. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do for this one. I feel like this is cheating because every wheel hub I've seen, the gasket or the seal goes all the way in. This is some unique hub, or I don't know what it is, but this one, the seal sticks out a little bit. So I'll show you what I'm going to do with this one. I'm sure it would be different on the other hub style. So I found, after doing all that hard work, that for me on this particular hub style, I can just take a sharp punch and just drive against the seal. And we'll flip this over and do the other side. And I can tell that this is going to come right out. So I don't know what brand this is or whatever, but this was leaking. I've got no clue. This has an inner ring right here, a metal ring, where the Timken one does not. So who knows what this originally was. Seems like a well-built seal. I am assuming, maybe improperly, but that this was the original seal from '88. Maybe it's not. I have no idea. Like I said, it seems like a well-built seal. It is. Oh, it's got part numbers on it. Oh, it's a national. And it's got two numbers on it. It's an IJKL-12. Part number also could be B370047BG, and it's a national seal. So seems like a well-built seal too. I love that the Timkens have a driver. Gonna clean that rim off real quick, and then we'll get this other seal drove in. Okay. Tapping this pretty hard, and then I'm going to go around it with a punch to make sure. Oh, wrong punch. Don't. Just want to make sure it's seated all the way down. We'll give it a couple of good thumps to make sure it's down all the way. I believe that's seated all the way. I'm going to go grab some calipers and make sure. So on this side here, closest to the camera, we're 325. On the back here, we're also 325. We're about 338 there. And 319. So we're a little, seems like we're a little high back here. 5, 3, 2, 3, 2. All right, pretty sure that's uptight. All right, that wasn't super hard to install. You're gonna want to make sure you also get the O-ring that goes on the inside right here. So I've got that kit, and I'll read that part number off here in just a second for the axle. All right, when I say kit, I mean that the one I ordered comes with 2 O-rings. Part number is a Dorman 926-163. Like I said, it comes with 2 O-rings. I'm not going to put them on until I paint the hub. The hub's super rusty, so I'm going to scuff that up, throw some primer on it, and paint, so it's not quite so ugly. All right, guys, we are going to put some grease on this hub, just a little bit for the O-ring or for the seal. And then we're also gonna put a little bit on the surface that the bearing, or we've got a couple of things going on. The axle nut, put a little there, And put a little bit on the, oh, actually, let's see. So we're going to put this on first. We're going to make sure that, get that thing on there without hurting it. Why are you not going on? Or maybe you are on. The front bearings next. So we'll slide that in. And that has a little bit of grease on the race. And then we're going to put the axle nut in. Make sure your axle nut has a tab still on it or it won't work right. We'll get that on next. Alright, we're going to get our spindle nut socket tool. Move you guys back just a little bit. And we're going to tighten this between 50 and 60 foot-pounds while rotating it slightly. Not even close yet. Getting closer. Okay, there's 55 foot-pounds. Now, it says to back it off 5 clicks for new bearings, 8 clicks for used bearings. So we're going to do 8 audible clicks. That is supposedly the preload that this rear axle needs. I'm going to do 9 just. It just feels really tight. I mean, not really tight. It feels tight though. So next we'll put the axle in with a new O-ring. I'm going to clean up this O-ring surface. I got a little overspray on there. Alright, so we've cleaned the axle. And what we've done is made sure the O-ring groove has got ample amounts of grease on it. I also cleaned the groove out from the old grease. So got a new O-ring in there and got new grease in it. And I should be able to get this thing in here. Okay. And of course you're going to need to line up your holes with the tapped portion. Dang, that bad boy don't want to go in there. Ow! There it went. Alright, all we got to do is get the bolts on, make sure that they're greased. I'll let you know what the torque spec is on those here in a sec. And get those in, and then the drum goes on and this side's done. Alright, torque spec is 80 foot-pounds. They got blue Loctite on them. It says you're supposed to use some kind of assembly, or it's like a Loctite, but it's different. The Ford spec is different. And I didn't have that stuff, and I wasn't going to drive all over town looking for it, so hopefully blue Loctite was not a mistake. Alright, those are torqued. Alright guys, I thought I'd wrap this video up just by telling you guys that I did have to bleed the brakes twice. Everything's back together. I ended up painting the hubs, which if you don't use powder coating or some type of automotive paint, The spray paint I used, this is typical of all spray paints, kind of soft. So it didn't turn out great. Not super happy with it, but it's better than rusty parts. So I ended up having to bleed the brakes twice. I vacuum bled them, and then I had my son help me pressure bleed them. Went to do the fronts and snapped a bleeder off in the front, and just, I don't think I got any air in the front end because it didn't run the master cylinder dry. But the brakes aren't super great. They're not super terrible either. Did get the whole back end put back together. I have to change the rear end fluid still, and I got to get a breather on the rear end. And at some point I got to pull the caliper off and fix that bleeder if that's even possible. So super unhappy about one of the bleeders snapping off. The other one I was managed to be able to bleed and got no bubbles out. So I believe passenger side was able to be bled and had no bubbles. So anyways, that's the long and the short of it. Gonna do some interior work down the road, and we'll film that when the time comes. So as always, I hope this helps somebody. I know it wasn't a full brake job, but maybe you'll find something of use for yourself. Hope you guys have a good day. Talk to you later.